then I've got to go in here and I got to hit go live on Instagram because always. Hello, everyone. Hello. Please be patient with us for a second. You guys know how this goes. It's trying to log into all the right things so we can say hello to everyone. Hello, 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 welcome. And we are so excited to be here today. I'm Jen with Laughing Lotus Wellness, and I'm going to let Summer introduce herself in 1 second. We just want to welcome you to the Clarity Code, Unlocking Your Identity. Today, we were going to do this class in a different format, and we were talking, and we just felt like everyone needed to hear it. So we sort of shifted gears. We're like, let's take it off of Zoom where we normally would do it. And so we're going to change the format ever so slightly. And we're just going to have a dialogue today. I do hope we'll get to a little tapping exercise at the end for everybody. So stay tuned, plug in. As you join us, if you're listening, please let us know who you are with us in the chat. So we are streaming through StreamYard, and what happens is when you guys want to chat with us, we don't see your names at all. So it's not like when we go Facebook Live or something else and we can see direct names. We are going to have like strangers sitting in the chat. So I want to invite one, please let us know you're here. Please say hey and join us for this Friday kind of lunch and learn vibe. And then also, like, if you've got questions as we're dialoguing today, please feel free to toss those in the chat. We love that kind of engagement. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear some of this content. And I cannot wait for you guys to get a taste of Summer. Because she's freaking amazing. She is feeling a little of the nerves, right? Because that happens sometimes. Like, I get it. I remember the days when I was newly doing this. And so I just want everybody to like full on honor and love her up so much today. And Summer, would you be willing to tell everybody a little bit about who you are and where you've been so people can get to know you a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you. And good to see you, Jen. As you mentioned, my name is Summer. I lead a couple of different companies. I have a visual recording and visual facilitation company called Let's Summarize. It is heavily focused on visual communication and visual approaches to corporate and knowledge work. I'm also a Gallup certified Clifton Strengths coach, and I'm working on my ICF coaching certification right now. The other business that I have is called The Getaway, and it's a small creative retreat space in Mound, Minnesota, overlooking Lake Minnetonka, and I love to use this space for workshops, retreats, one-on-one coaching sessions, and really because I really believe everybody needs the opportunity to step out of their regular day-to-day, which is full of chaos, full of pressure, and get into a space that really opens them up to think about the big picture and come up with ideas and inspirations and things that they want that for their life that are more purposeful. So that's me in a nutshell.
It's amazing. And her retreat space. Hello, whoever's here with us, please say hey. If you can. If you can't, it's okay. I know some people were going to maybe log in and be in their cars on the roll today. So if you're in saying hey, say hey, let us know you're here. We love to know who's with us today. Literally, when I tell you that Summer's retreat space is amazing, I went and did a writer's weekend. I borrowed her space just so I could be in there and like full on flow. And it was amazing. So her space is absolutely beautiful and such a nice tool for anybody that's looking for like a little getaway for some reason, a little retreat, something like that, doing some real focused work, like VIP days, things like that. There's a million ways that that getaway could be used. And trust me, it is a gorgeous space. Summer is a beautiful host. So that's Summer. For those of you signing in with me, most of you know me, but I just will talk briefly a second about where I've been, who I am, and then we're going to get moving, I promise, because I know that's the most boring part of what we're going to talk about today because y'all don't care. But I do want you to know who you're talking to and why we feel like we have some expertise to show up and share with you, okay? So what I really do is mentor women as to clarify and revolutionize how they harness their supernova powers to really create purposeful legacy impact. That's a whole mouthful. It's a very like toothsome deal. But really what it is I'm helping women harness their powers to elevate and amplify their purpose. If we don't know what those supernova powers are, it makes it harder to harness them, correct? Okay, so this is exactly 100%. Why today is here, is so that we can really support you harnessing those superpowers that you really carry within you, that you've probably kind of like maybe, I don't know, maybe you've squashed them down, you've told them to be quiet, you've done the, because we do these things. We are conditioned to do some of these things. And so today is really about unraveling that conditioning a bit, taking a step back out of it and looking at it differently with a more objective approach to see if we can't move the needle on how we see ourselves, right? So if you're signing in, please say, hey, let us know you're here if you can. If you can, it's okay. But if you can, we'd love to know you're here. Say, hey, we don't know who's with us because we can't see. So we're always grateful to have guests with us. So, all right, let me get into my little spot here. I had to scoot out for 1 second. There we are. There we are. So let's talk about some potential things that I think you could get out of today. And Summer, I want you to add as well. But I know we had talked about what can you take away from today? Like our goals were like, what can we impart? We want you to always walk away from time with us with something novel, right? That's the whole goal, is to not just reinvent the wheel, but to instead invest in finding some novel approaches to bring to you all. So we really wanted to talk about clarity and confidence through understanding your authentic self. So that's one thing we wanted to do. Understanding how much conditioning, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, has happened and what role it plays in interpretation of identity. Improving your self-awareness to harness your superpowers, right? I'm going to do this a lot. You'll know. I wish I had a cape, but I don't. Transform your own perspective of self-definition to be deeply rooted. And here, this is a mouthful again. Deeply rooted in awareness, awareness being the key word of your values, experiences, and sense of self. Those are really big things, right? Summer, were there other things or takeaways that you hope that people might be able to take away from this day today?
I would just say I think awareness is the perfect word. Yeah. Being intentional, taking a moment to acknowledge who you are and start to add those layers of knowledge will add your confidence. It will boost your sense of self. Yeah. A lot of women that I speak to have been running on autopilot and running for so hard for so long that when they hold up the mirror, they're not quite sure who they're looking at. And we're trying to give you little tiny chapters so that you can put those answers together. All those answers are inside yourself. Yeah. They're not things that we're going to answer for you. We're going to help you write them down.
Exactly. And so you perfectly said it perfectly. I had a quote from Rupi Kaur today for us, and it literally goes exactly with what she just said, which is, what's the greatest lesson a woman should learn? That since day one, she's already had everything she needs within herself in the world that convinced her she did not. So one of the things that we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about today, and it's not fun dialogue. It's fun to be here, but it's not fun concepts. I'm not going to lie, right? This is the stuff that's like, oh, it's kind of weighty. It kind of feels kind of shitty, if I'm being honest. And also, it's not the whole of it. So I'm going to ask you to kind of hang tight with us while we talk about the stuff that's not so much fun, but understand the not so much fun leads us to deeper awareness that becomes really a useful tool. So really want to think about, in the world, we are given lots of information about who we are, who we're supposed to be. That's just a fact. We're conditioned by things like our parents, things like teachers, right? So there's lots of people around us, our partners, our friends, our children. So we're always being impacted, of course, by one another. You're also impacted and conditioned by things like music, movies, the media, what we're seeing stream through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? Like all these places, we are being influenced. We're constantly being sold to, we're constantly being targeted. And so much of women's targeting and marketing, as you might guess, is about how to be better women. It means how to be prettier, how to stay younger, how to achieve more.
How to do it all.
How to do it all, right? Exactly. It's such a gross concept, but it's something that, because those layers of all of that conditioning come upon us, our job is to sort of wade back through it. Does that make so? I always tell people the way that I think about coaching and the way I think about our lives is the first half of our development is learning. We learn from the people around us, our experiences, our stories, right? All that stuff. And the second half is unlearning. And it's releasing some of the stuff you get to and you go, that's not really who I am. That's not really what I stand for. That doesn't really make me feel good in my skin. So why am I doing this? And I think so many of the women that I work with, and again, I want you to speak, Summer, to the women that you see that are like, what are they bringing forward? What are their struggles, right? Like the women I work with, they're burnt out. They're exhausted. They've checked all the boxes, right? They've done all the things. They've maybe even done therapy. They've maybe done some mentoring. They've maybe done some, and they go, I'm still not where I want to be. What is happening, right? I have this sense that something's out of alignment, and maybe she's even embarrassed to talk about it. I know when I was 40 and I hated being in my psychotherapy practice that I created, I didn't want to talk about it. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed, actually. It was lonely as hell. Because I thought, oh, first world problems, poor you opening a psychotherapy practice and then feeling like you can't stand it anymore. That's really hard for you. And everybody told me, even my adult friends, guys, this was 40 before I really realized something was out of alignment for me. Even my friends said to me, oh, Jen always knew what she wanted to do. Jen came out of the womb knowing what she wanted to do. So who do you tell when you feel stuck? And they weren't being jerks. There was no jerkiness in it. It wasn't an intentional, malicious. They really felt like I had my shit together. I thought I had my shit together till I didn't. And then at 40, in this very successful business, I had to go, something's really wrong and I'm real unhappy. And the biggest pivotal moment in all of that for me, if I'm being real, was my purpose. I went, but I thought my purpose was to help people. If I don't stay here and do this, what do I do with my license? What will people think about me if I switch gears? My mentor, I had a mentor who mentored me all the way through my training and my education, who I deeply respected. I was terrified to tell him I wasn't going to be doing traditional therapy. So I want to speak into the heart of the woman that's listening right now. Like, if you've experienced any of these things, I have been there. I'm guessing Summer has been there in her own right, which we're going to open that floor to her too. But I just want to open that gate. Like, I have been in conditioned places. I have been in places I limited myself. I had to really struggle in that space, which is why I do my coaching like I do now, because I know what that was like. I don't want another woman to do that by herself again, because it was awful. So that's where I get passionate, and we're going to talk more about some of those roles and things in a minute. Summer, talk to me about, where do you think you've been? That identity was such a thing, or have you had a moment in your life where there was a real struggle? Like, what, I feel like I'm being pulled and again, checking all the boxes, right? Because you know too, you're a mom, like you get all the juggling of like a big career and like parenting and partnering and all these things, right? And all of our big visions. Where have you been, and what kind of issues or struggles or things have you kind of bumped up against for yourself that you'd be willing to share?
Well, can I share some of what I've observed, actually? Because this was something I started to see about 8 or 9 years ago, when a lot of my friends and my counterparts at work were women that were turning 43, 44. Suddenly their kids are in middle school. They don't need to be as present. They don't have to be as available to their kids. And so they were finding themselves with a little bit of extra time, a little bit of capacity, a moment to breathe and look up.
Right.
And be like, well, how did I get here? I never planned to do this. I entered this industry when I was 19. I didn't do it on purpose.
Exactly.
I just stayed stuck in action sports, or I stayed stuck in technology, or I stayed stuck in retail. And here I am. I've got a good job. I've got, healthy kids, a good family, a situation, but none of it was by design, and none of it was what I wanted. And it's, and it's a struggle, because it's not like they don't want it. It's just when you realize that you never chose any of it really with like a grand design, you want to pick something else, and everyone's like, what are you passionate about? What are you good at? And the women that I saw were like, I don't know. I haven't been thinking about that for the last 15 years. I've been thinking about everything else.
Yeah.
And the person who thought about it 15 years ago was 20 or 25. So it's not, I can't even pull back there.
Exactly.
I would talk to women who, one of the things that would really tick them off is, what is your purpose, or what are you passionate about? And they throw their paper in the air. They go, I don't know. And almost that question pisses me off, because it, like you said, it puts you at a place of feeling embarrassed. It puts you at a place of vulnerability. Shouldn't I know that? Shouldn't I know what I'm passionate about? I don't even have a hobby, Sure. And so what I ran into was over and over and over again with the people who I was really, really close to. They would turn a page and all of a sudden it was blank. and they didn't have the equipment to move forward. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is all of those answers are inside. I love to give the equipment and help them move forward.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's really about taking time to look at these pieces of your life and then really recognizing and honoring exactly what Summer said. The woman that started the journey, and I hate to say, listen, it's not the same woman. Is there a thread? Of course there is, but it's not the same woman at 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70. You are always evolving. So the version of you that shows up at one space and time looks and feels different and needs a different kind of work, right, and support than you needed 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier. So give yourself the bandwidth to really understand that. And I get, Summer, I think that there is this pressure, and a lot of what I get when I ask people about their purpose is, oh yeah, I know what that is. Oh, okay. And like, what is your purpose? And like, so often people will say it's a role. I'm a mom, I'm a CEO, I'm a financial advisor, right? I'm a tax auditor, whatever you do, right? Like, I hear all the things your like roles are, okay? Too small. It's just too small. Your entire light and energy cannot possibly be condensed into a role or even 20, okay? The other thing I have a lot of people say is it's a task. This I hear, and this one is one of my favorites, and this is very common. And listen, there's not wrongness in it. It's just not the full expression of it that I think
Right.
you see. Does that make sense? So it's not that there's no judgment in this. If you would have asked me at 40, what's your, and I am full transparent when I say this. If you said to me, Jen, at 40, what's your purpose? I would have said to help people.
That's it. What I would have said?
What?
I would have said, I'm not that kind of person. I don't have one. I don't do that.
I'm sorry. I don't do purpose.
I did. I literally told my coach, I don't do that. We can skip this activity.
There you go. So either we might think we know it, or we go, I'm not that kind of person. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But what I am going to say is that I do really believe that at the end of the day, the tasks are how you deliver it. The roles are how you deliver it. And all I'm suggesting is that really your purpose is a much bigger thing. It's actually the energy that you carry. Bottom line, it's right. And Maya Angelou said that. She said, it's not what people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That is purpose. And it's a much bigger deal. Why does that matter? Because at 40, had I had the concept that I now have about myself in my purpose, I think I would have had a lot less angst. I would have went, oh, got it. All this means is a pivot. I thought something was literally broken. So it's a very different thing to dial in your awareness. And that's one of the pieces of why we're talking so much about identity. Your identity is part of all of this, right? It's really like swimming through all of the awareness of the stuff that you bring to the world. So, okay, so we want to talk about the conditioning, right? You're not a role. You're not just a good daughter, an awesome mom, but you are all those things. You are all those things. That's just not all you are. Hi, say hey, please, you're dropping in. Say hey, we love to hear from you. If you've got questions, we would love to hear them. Talking about identity today, for anybody that might be just shoring up just right now, we're so glad you're here. So think about, your grandmother's story. And I just want you to remember you're holding that in your DNA of sorts, okay? And so they've lived through some stuff. We have history, women's history, that becomes kind of part of this equation, of course, as well. We're not going to dive into that today because we don't got time for that. But I want us to put that out there, right? That's also a piece of this, is we have been influenced even by our genetics, our DNA, our family systems, things like that, right? But one of the things I did really feel passionate about talking about was, how can this show up? And I think sometimes we can have sort of this experience of, I don't know, I don't want people to think this is negative when I say this, but I think that self-loathing, right, is a real factor. And as a therapist, I saw a lot of this in my office. And I think people got disconnected very commonly from their magic, right? It's why I call it a supernova power. Because I'm like, this is your magic. You're carrying this incredible light, this incredible soul around with you everywhere you go. And you are not like anyone else in the world. There is no other person in the entire world that has your voice, your vision, your experience, your story. No one. You're like a snowflake. Okay. So, but we are also exposed to so much in the media and things that kind of we can really struggle with. Am I okay? Is my body type okay, right? How long do I dye my hair before I say, oh, I don't feel like doing that anymore? Maybe I never wanted to do it, right? Like it's this effortful piece, I think, particularly for women, to feel like we keep having to kind of churn through this stuff, right? So one of the things I wanted to share with you as a example, and it's a very short, sweet story, I promise, is the story of the Dalai Lama. So I'm going to read you guys this really quick piece. Fascinates me. So this is from a book by Hal Runkle, LMFT. It's called Screen-Free Parenting, which sounds like what the who the what? Why are we talking about Dalai Lama in a parenting book? Just hold your phone for a second. I'm going to read it to you. But this is one of the best books of all time for two reasons. One, this story is one I tell very frequently. Secondarily, they talk about self-love in here. He identifies it in a way like the mask in the airplane thing. Literally lays it out the best I have ever read from anyone, anywhere in terms of its clarity. Like 4 separate kinds of self-love, and he freaking nails it. So if you're looking, I'm telling you as a therapist, even though I did not serve small children, because I didn't, I treated teens and young adults, I fell in love with this book and read that sucker. I'm surprised it's not broken in half. That's how often I read the one section to people. So if you're looking for a resource, I always love sharing resources, but here is what happened, okay? So the Dalai Lama attends this like I think it was like a psychiatrist, something in the States, okay? Dalai Lama said that for the first hours of listening to these doctors, he thought his broken English was failing him. He says, he asked himself and others, are they really saying self-hatred? He says he had never, just take this in a second, this blows my mind. He says he had never in his vast experience in Eastern philosophy and politics even considered the notion of self-hatred. And it is ripe in our country. Imposter syndrome. I mean, we have it's debilitating how much we can hate ourselves. I have heard so many women speak to this. And so this is so pivotal to me because it says there are places in the world that don't even have a reference.
I love that because it says, it emphasizes the fact it's a social construct.
It absolutely is.
We made it up.
Exactly.
We pervasively allowed it to grow.
And we bought it.
And we told each other about it.
And we told each other about it and we bought it. So it isn't that we're dumb, we're broken. There's nothing about that, friends. When you're inundated with something incessantly, whether or not you're even really fully aware of it, you're taking it in. You're just human. There is nothing weird about that, right? And yikes. I mean, we want to be better than that, right? We just want to be better than that. So some things that we're talking about when we say layers, what are the layers of the things that I think support, right? What helps lean into understanding having greater awareness of our identity? So your strengths. Okay. What are your strengths? So this is a moment where if you want to if it was me, I'm just being honest, I would save this, I'd share it, but I'd also save this and I'd come back and I'd maybe do an exercise in it because we're going to do a couple things today. And I think you might be glad you could come back in and take time and really dive in. But even as you're just listening right now, right? What are my strengths? What am I really good at doing? Summer, what are a couple of your really brilliant strengths? I mean, I know some, but I want you to share with everybody.
So I'm a strengths coach, so I have to start by sharing my top 5, which in the Gallup-Clifton Strengths language is developer, empathy, ideation, communication, consistency. But also when I think about what I uniquely bring to a team, I bring optimism, I bring creativity, I bring willingness to step into the unknown, and I bring a natural tendency to create community in groups of people.
Mm-hmm. And your creativity, I mean, when I say to you, yeah, because if you haven't lived till you've seen Summer do her magic on a whiteboard or on a piece of, it's literally phenomenal. So that's brilliant. So those are just some of Summer's strengths. Those aren't even all of her strengths, obviously. I did not think about this. I'm like, what are my strengths? Mine's humor. Mine, you'll always pick that. It's going to be face forward. Like that is, and it is a strength, which sounds funny. It's both kind of like a strength and a value of mine. They literally coalesce kind of. But for me, I think bringing humor to the table is like the human common denominator. So that's why I love it. It's so natural for me. And I would say helping people come home to themselves. And that took me a lifetime to be able to say to you. So at 50, I can say this, and I would have been like sheepish to say it 10 years ago, if I'm being honest. I do know that that is one of my superpowers, is to help people come home to themselves. I help people reclaim themselves. And maybe, again, they got lost in the shuffle, whatever. That's really kind of one of my jams. And then the other one's hope. I have like a ridiculous amount. It's literally my middle name, literally, which people probably thought I was joking for a million years when I said it, but it's literally my middle name. And so I really love like just bringing that. I am not going to give up. We are not giving up until we get to some solution. We're in it. I'm digging in, right? So that's one of mine. So the other thing, right? So we've already mentioned it, your values. Summer, give me a couple of your favorite values. We're just going to outline these for you guys. You guys be thinking, what are my, throw them in the comments. Like, we'd love to hear from you. What are your strengths? What are some of your favorite values? Put them in the chat. Get working on it, right? Don't just don't like sit back. Like, I get it's Friday. You got two experts in this room with you today. Take this time. Summer, what are a few of your very favorite values? I know you both talked about this, but list off, you already did some, but do some more.
Humility, integrity, and relationships with the people that I work with.
Love. Okay. Mine would be freedom, which I didn't value the same way until I was about 40 and 50. That's a different one. Impact, humor, transformation, fun. If it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. And connection. And those are just probably some of my very top ones. There's others, but of course, right? Again, what I want you to do is, you'll notice Summer and I rattled those off. We've been in the work. We've rattled them off because we've done the work. It's not right. So it's not like we just showed up today and we're like, yeah, whole bag of tricks. Like, no, like we've been talking about this, working with this for years. And so like, yes, now we know, right? We want that same thing for you. It's why we're dialoguing. We want the same thing. Is like, somebody asks you any of these things, you go, oh yeah, blah, 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 and you just say it. You got it. Excellent. Okay. That self-awareness is huge. Love. Okay. So strengths, values, talents. Ooh, I said creativity earlier. That's a big talent for you. What are other talents, Summer?
I can express complex concepts simply using visuals.
Absolutely.
I can connect dots and see patterns. I can, and maybe this one, I don't know if it's a strength or a talent. I said it earlier, but like be able to step into ambiguity with some confidence.
You definitely do that. You are so good at that. My talents are probably, I think about creating content in a way that is digestible to people. That is one of my favorite things to do. And I had to do it for 22 years in a very traditional setting, and you had to be good at it. So I'm good at having really, really hard dialogue about really heavy shit in a very good way. That's one tip that I devised because it was required. But also, like, honestly, I think it's about being able to explain things in a really bite-sized, digestible way to help people move through transformation. I think that is one of my things. Then we're going to toss in their motivations. So when I think of motivations, and I won't have Summer and I list as many for this next little bit, just because I want us to be able to keep moving and get you guys going, but I wanted to practice it and get it out in the room. But think of motivations. When I think of motivation, I think, what's my why? What's my why? What's going to get me out of bed in the morning? What inspires me? Is it beauty? Is it travel? Is it connection? Is it music? Is it there? So everyone is actually inspired by something different, which is really beautiful. So I think there's something potent in understanding just what inspires and what moves you, right? Because that's going to be the fire that's going to push to move all this stuff into the light, if that makes sense, right? We want to use that to find the purpose, move into the revolutionary use of your purpose and your biggest expansive space holding for what magic you're going to bring. That's how I want you to think about it. So skills, right? We already said roles. I think your roles can be dialed in there. I don't think, but there is not the whole of you. I just don't want you to get locked into that. And then your history and your story. And if we had enough time, Summer and I would both tell our stories and our histories today, but we don't. I mean, this would be, right? So, but I want you to think about that. No one has your voice because no one has your story or experience.
Can I speak to roles for just a second? Because it's easy to say I'm a mom or I am this leader, this is my job, right? But you're also a sister, a daughter, a neighbor, a best friend, a collaboration partner. I'm a fire wife. I am a parent at Hilltop. There are so many roles that we play that are important relationships that serve those around us, and they're mutual relationships, right? So those roles serve you too. And being aware of the role that those roles have in your heart and inside your own body, it's just another level of awareness. And when you have all of this knowledge, if you write down your strengths, you write down your values, you write down your motivations, your talents, your skills, you will have a pretty solid ground on which to say, okay, now I can do some work about what it is I want to do.
Exactly. And where have I been told? And I want you to really think about this, because this is, and we're gonna look at my timing and my notes right behind that. I'm like, thank you, Lord. What are your shoulds? Stop shoulding on yourself. When I tell you, if you gather 10 women in a room and you invite them, just verbally invite them, would you tell me about what you believe, about who you are, who you should be? The tears start rolling, the vulnerability shows up, the truth shows up in the room. When I tell you, I am always fascinated and so touched by how people will drop into this kind of insight, because it hurts. Living by a set of rules that you either learned somewhere through your history, through conditioning, through others. And again, no maliciousness. You don't have to assign shittiness to somebody as a parent that was like, you know what you should do someday? Be a doctor. Or whatever, right? Mom saying, you know what you should do some days? Be a mom. What if I don't want to be a mom? All right. So I think they're again, it's not, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you said you've never seen it happen so fast as you do in a room when you bring up this topic. I bet that no one ever invites us to put those bags down. Agreed. Right? And so the minute someone's like, do you want to put those down for a second? Yes. Like, yes, this one.
Yes.
And just like unburden yourself of them. You can pick them back up on your way out the door if you like.
Yeah, if you really want them back.
Yeah.
I burn those, but anyway, you do you. But exactly, right? That's so well said. So I want you to be thinking about, where have you been with this I should? I think one of the best and one of my most favorite tools to run people through is like a journal prompt idea where you're like, nice women should blank. Smart women should blank. Good moms blank, 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 blank. Because you'll be floored if you get invited and start free writing or typing what comes out your face.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, you'll be like, oh my, like you're storing more shit in there than you know you're storing. I'm just going to tell you right now. And also you start unraveling that. You go, oh my God, I'm going to give you a story. And then hopefully I will dial in as much as I can. I will not lie, because I will try to do this as succinctly as I can. But I want to share one of the stories of my daughter teaching me a great lesson, because it's one of my most profound lessons, actually. She was a teenager, and Chloe was going through a really, really hard time mentally and emotionally. She had been on a med. It made her, it just did not do good things for her. Okay. And she was going to quit swimming. She was an incredible swimmer. And when I tell you, like, incredible, like it was one of my favorite things to watch her swim. I didn't even know that was ever going to be a thing when I became a mother. It was one of my favorite things of all time. She was so talented. Okay. Now, I want you to know, in my history, when I was a teenager, at one point, we believed that my mom had taken her own life. And I'm, again, trauma warning for everybody. I don't want to activate anybody. And I'm fine. I'm good. So I always like to say that too, because I've done a lot of my own work. Okay. But I want to say, I had a story from the time I was 17 about people leaving and giving up, which is what I really thought my mom did. And what I did, right? This is the full accountability and ownership, and this is digesting and doing my work. So I think good women, strong women, successful women don't give up. Okay. So from 17, I think that. Now I'm in my 40s and my teen daughter is really going through a fucking minute. It's bad. And she wants to quit. And I just told you my ideas about quitting. And I couldn't figure out, I was so pissed at her because I understood. I was checking on her nightly. Like, are you good? Are you okay? Like, when I tell you, I mean, it was a harrowing parenting moment. Okay. I saw her pain and I had so much compassion. And I was like, I'm wired with freaking compassion. Where does it go? Why am I mad? And finally, one day I sat down with my husband. I go, I got it. He's like, what? I go, I know why I'm so mad. And he's like, why are you mad? I go, because I think she's quitting. And my idea was strong effing women don't quit. Here's my lesson. My teenage daughter taught me. Sometimes quitting and leaving is self-care. And I had my ass handed to me by my teenage daughter in the most blessed way. She taught me, because now I give myself permission. If I get in a spot and I go, oh, this is not in alignment. Oh, this is not in alignment for me. I've discerned this is not the right thing. I am so much better at calling that out now.
I mean, that's exiting, not quitting, right? You're just leaving rooms.
Exactly. Yeah. And it goes to, my friends, mindset and how we digest things as they happen to us. And it's why I will throw myself on the pyre to share a story, because I don't like sharing someone else's like really deep, painful story. I'm willing to share mine because it's like, it's mine, right? I really want to say she taught me one of the most valuable lessons of my entire life. So this is, so we don't stop growing and even shifting in our identity this way. You look back and tell me where the spots are that you probably believe things about yourself that actually aren't true, or they aren't serving you. That's why looking at those shoulds becomes this monumental Herculean effort that you should do. You really want to understand this in yourself, because there's probably old baggage and crap you're carrying around. You're like, I don't need this. Exactly what Summer said. Drop that shit. That's not serving you. But we'd have to look at it to know that. Okay.
Right.
So that's where we want to.
Otherwise, it's just stuck to you, like
it's just in there. And by the way, that's why we do energy work. It's why we do therapy. It's why we do energy work. It's why we do mentoring. It's to go in and pull out those old ideas and stories to help heal them. Chloe helped heal me. I'd apologize to her and tell her, you know, I was kind of mad, honestly. I didn't know I figured it out. And she was like, Mom, it's okay. And I said, no, it's not. But I appreciate you being so patient and loving to me. So we're always unraveling shit, friends. For the whole time you're alive, you're unraveling these things. And I want you to be able to take them out and look at them. Okay. So we've talked about shoulds, the layers that stack up, the things that you can utilize and tap into to start really identifying your personal values, your strengths, your right. We want all of that so that identity becomes to really, I think, become crystal clear for you in a different way. Summer, do you have anything else you wanted to add to any of that?
I feel like you covered it. The whole idea is that you can get this sense of self, this clarity about who you are, this understanding of your identity in layers. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You can do many passes, do it a little bit today, do it again in 3 months, do it again in 3 years, and it will continue to grow and evolve. And, you know, one of the best investments that I made was with a coach who actually drew it all out, because now I go back to that thing all the time. And I'm like, here's the parts of me that have continued to evolve. Here are the parts of me that remain part of my true history.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Well said. Well said. So what we're going to do is, first of all, again, if you're listening, even if you're listening later and it's recorded, you're good. Put a question in the chat because we love that. Let us know if you're here and say, hey, because we love that. So any part of this, if you're willing to drop in your strengths, your values, anything that your motivations, your why, drop it in and let us know. Like, we love to hear that. So one other little reading that I picked out that I loved by Cleo Wade. This book is so loved. Look at this, hilarious. I'm like, can you tell I have used this sucker a few times in its history? And then I thought we could maybe do a tapping exercise, and then we'll just take questions if there's anybody in the room that wants to ask any follow-up questions, and then we're going to move on for the day, and you're good to go for your Friday. So,
and a little refreshed.
I know, hopefully a little refreshed, a little something to think about, a little growth maybe happening today on a Friday. I freaking love that. So this is a book called Heart Talk. It's by Cleo Wade. It's poetic wisdom for a better life. I highly recommend it because it is so short and sweet. Each little section is just its own little entity, and it's full of beautiful, deep wisdom. So this is what she said. And remember, and I love it. Some of it's like written. It's so cool. It's just like a really good, accessible book. And remember, life is bigger than the boxes we check along the way. The world is constantly asking us to identify who we are based on checking a box. We put so much pressure on ourselves to live within whichever box we are checking. But the most empowering thing we could ever do with boxes is design our own. And not because of which job, personality type, gender, or race box you check. You are who you are because you are not a box at all. And if you were a box, you would be one that is immense enough to hold all the boxes that make you feel excited to be alive. So whether it is a writer, cook, accordion player, New York Times crossword puzzle champ, parent, dog walker, CEO, or lawyer, be all of the things. So I adore her again. She is such an inspiration. So if you're looking for an inspirational book, there you go. Okay. Thoughts on that, or do you feel ready to move into tapping? What do you think, Summer?
Let's do it.
You think let's do it? Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to walk you guys through a tapping exercise. And what I will say is normally I would kind of do like the full gamut of the whole process, but because it's Friday and we're easy, and rather than explaining a bunch of stuff, I want to just keep moving you guys through your Friday. So we're going to cheat a little bit. It's not cheating, but what I'm going to do is just invite you to pick a spot on your body to tap for the whole journey so that you're not moving stuff around. Normally, like I said, I would do that. Today, we're just going to keep it short and sweet and dialed in. So you can pick the side of your hand. You could do a collarbone. You can just do in the heart space if it feels good to tap your heart. Anything that feels good to you is perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to start tapping. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to do this journey with me. And as I say the phrase, your job is to actually say it out loud to yourself. Okay. If you can't say it out loud, say it in your head. Today, maybe you're in an office setting and you got AirPods in and you're like, oh, I'm catching this over my lunch break. I don't want to be like, hey, blah, 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 out loud. That's totally fine. But I do want you to think it in your mind space because it will help kind of set it in. I want you to imagine it's like bringing in beautiful, good juice and energy into your brain, but it's actually helping it to drop in and stay and integrate. Okay. So that's why we're tapping. That's why we're repeating it. So here we go.
Jen, before you start, for
dear.
the people who are on, is there a one spot that's better than the other? And should they rotate throughout?
You know what? No, it's really when you do the full gamut, as I would teach it, there is a series of spots that you tend to tap in order. When you're in a pinch, as long as you are tapping somewhere, you're using dual stimulation. So back in the day when I was doing psychotherapy, I did a training called EMDR, which was eye movement desensitization reprocess, because we all like big freaking words in therapy. But anyway, all it means is that when you're doing something in correlation with something else, you're engaging your brain in a way that allows it to talk and digest more effectively. So it's exactly the reason why we're doing this. People also refer to it almost like similar, like an acupressure, something like that, right? So this is doing is actually helping you soothe and pull information in and let it drop in and integrate. That's why we do the tapping part. Okay. And so good question. And yes, I do like a good old formal EFT tapping exercise. And also you can get the benefits in a pinch. And I love teaching it this way because let's say someone doesn't have a lot of time or they've got 2 minutes in the bathroom and they're having they can do this really quickly and easily in 2 minutes, right? So you're not going to lose anything by doing a simplified form, but someday we'll do the full one. So, but great question. Okay. Just tapping on your space. Just repeating what I say in your mind or out loud if you can. Okay. Even though I've spent much of my lifetime being told who I'm supposed to be, listening to how I should behave, I am open to being safe in who I really am. Without the roles, without the masks, without the old beliefs. I am full of magic and beauty. I honor all the layers of my being. My values, my vision, my dreams, my gifts, all my supernova powers. And I'm ready to harness that for my most authentic self. Even when I feel scared to let go of old, outdated versions of myself, I am brave enough to trust, to lean in, and to stand in my full power. When I stand in my power, I stand in my purpose. When I stand in my power, stand in my purpose. When I stand in my power, I stand in my purpose. The pressure to be all and do all for others has been a heavy burden, and I set that down. The pressure to be all and do all for others has been a heavy burden, and I set that down. I no longer need to carry these ideas. I am releasing old concepts of who I am and femininity. I'm releasing old concepts of who women should be. I'm releasing who I used to believe I needed to be. I am wise. I am free to choose. I am authentic and true to who I am. The woman inside is recognizing the truest gifts. I bring those gifts and I'm ready to share that with the world. I'm reclaiming and unlocking my trust in most authentic form. I'm honoring this powerful and beautiful version of myself. I'm creating my own best self in the form most aligned for my purpose and path to create legacy and impact. I am power. I am power. I am power. I am divine, feminine, embodied. I remember who I am, who I really am. And I move boldly and bravely into the world in all of this truth, carrying the magic within to share that light with the world. Share my light with the world. Share my light with the world. I share my light with the world. Now drop your hand. Just take a nice big inhale in. Exhale it out. Two more. Two nice big belly breaths in. Big, big expansive inhale in. All the way through the nose. Big expansion in the belly, the ribs, the chest. And exhale that out. One more just like that. Big belly breath in. Beautiful expansive breath. Exhale that out. Detoxifying your whole body. Letting it go. And just noticing. Taking a moment before we dial back in. What might be different in this moment than it was before we started? How are you feeling differently than you did?
What I love about doing these on Fridays, like we have done, is people are coming in from wherever they're coming in from, but you're kind of on autopilot for your day. You jump into this, and when you provide these moments at the end to slow down, slow your pace of your breathing, center in on the content and what we talked about, it's like a rest stop, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of like refills your gas tank for the second half of the day and puts you on probably a more positive place for the weekend.
Exactly. Hopefully we're getting you all fired up, that even though we might be talking about concepts that I think can feel complex, right? And sometimes a little hardy, they're like gnarly to lean into. We're talking gnarly vulnerability in some of these things. And also, again, I think it's in doing that work that the biggest breakthroughs come through, right? The biggest and most satisfying alignment, the biggest, most magical things happen when we are brave and bold. And so to me, it's I want to say that I think it's worth the work you put in, right? And we hope to inspire and amplify and elevate and get you going into, like Summer said, like your last bit of Friday, like hopefully your attitude feels a little shifted, or like something's a little different, or you're harnessing something energetically differently, feeling more peace. And like then I want you, I know what Summer's is saying, like we want you to go out and deliver that, right? Your magic in being here, your job is to know your magic, and then it's to go out and deliver it. And that's according to Oprah, and she said it better than anybody, right? So this is exactly what you're meant to do, is to harness all of these tools and then take and utilize that so that you can deliver your best self to the world. So that was kind of the gist of the tapping I wanted to offer today. Other finishing kind of thoughts or any questions or anything, Summer, that you want to throw into the conversation today?
What I thought would be really good for everyone is if you could just repeat the book title and authors again. Those look like very well-loved books that would probably be really helpful. And so if anybody wants to see these 2 books again, Jen can share those.
Absolutely. So this is Screen Free Parenting by Hal Runkle. Literally best book ever. And literally, if you could just read, I think it's chapter 11. Oh my God, do you love it? This section is some called Revolutionary Relationships. Woo woo, revolutionary just came right in. So good. So anyway, this book, very, very good just for understanding self-love in a really different, novel way. His approach is absolutely phenomenal. So check that out. And then Heart Talk by Cleo Wade. Literally, again, one of my very favorite books of all time. It's literally poetry. Essentially, if I'm being honest, it feels very poetic and very short, sweet, easy reads. You could do a half a page a day or a page, and it'd take you 3 seconds. No joke. Very profound wisdom that she brings. And I always find her super inspirational. So I almost always pull her out for some of my events that I'm always hosting. So I love, love, love her, and you will too. So today, first of all, please, again, ask questions and comments. Okay, if you're here, please say, hey, whenever you listen, we'd love to know you took a listen. What was your biggest takeaway today? What did you have an aha of some kind? Where you're like, oh yeah, I missed that piece of how I look at myself, right? We're going to invite you to go out to the website. My website's laughinglotuswellness.com/retreat 2025. And you might go, wait a minute, what the hell are you talking about a retreat? Summer and I are hosting a retreat in the fall, and we have a page set up for anybody that's interested in having more information. We are busily going to be defining more of the specifics. We've got the place, we've got the dates, we've got like a very good rough draft of our mind space and the kind of soul that we want to bring to this. So we're very excited about it. There'll be more information forthcoming, but in the interim, as we're starting to get ready to properly put this out in the world and market it and let you all get your spaces, you can go and give us your information just so we have your email and keep you in the loop. So again, that's laughinglotuswellness.com/retreat 2025. So that's where you can go. Just plug in your information. Let us know that you want to know about the retreat. We'll be happy to stay in email connection with you and let you know as things are coming to fruition. We'll get you signed up as soon as we can. So please feel free to go do that. But honestly, I would just invite you to, one, of course, go and get in the list to learn more about the retreat. But the other thing I really want to invite you to do is harness some of the tools that we talked about today. Maybe come back, practice that tapping exercise a couple times. Really look at those layers. We didn't get the time in a group format. We were going to let you all kind of sit and take time and write down what your motivations were, write what your values. So Summer and I last did a values event. This was the identity event. We're building as we go on some of these conceptual frameworks so that when we get to the retreat, you've been exposed to some of this. And I don't make it sound like rocket science, but I do want people to have some exposure so they feel, oh yeah, I know it. Yeah, you guys talked about that. Oh yeah, we already discussed values.
Right.
It's just building blocks. It's the foundation. So we definitely welcome you, like, hey, stay tuned in what we're doing, because again, there is a cadence to what we're doing. There's a flow and there's a real mindfulness around why we're delving into what we're doing and how we're doing that for you. So please stay tuned. And like I said, even if you're interested in what Summer and I are doing, go over to that retreat space and plug your name in, because that's for both of us, right? So it's nice to even just do that. Then we've got your email and you can stay connected to both of us. Whether or not you decide to come to the retreat, that's a great spot to just drop in and we'll grab your email from you so you have it and you can learn more about who we are and what we offer. So go in and tap into that as well, for sure. But I want to say thank you so much for lending us some of your time and energy. It's Friday. I know, right? It's like easy sometimes to kind of like shit out at the end of a week and be like, like, I get it. I'm grateful for your time and energy being here. Again, ask questions if you've got them, share your ahas, insights, anything you're willing to share with us. We always love that. People learn from other people sharing. That's why we ask. Summer, thank you so much for your time and energy.
Thank you, Jen.
To have you here. And did you have any other final anything that you felt like we just needed to say as we close today? Anything special?
I don't think so. I think that these are wonderful stepping stones to prepare you for a really transformational retreat experience, right? Getting a little of this pre-thinking, connecting with yourself will put you in such a stronger position to have a real transformation at a retreat. And an awesome, relaxing time too.
Agreed. So, all right, we'll close with Jane Fonda. What do you say? Jane Fonda. All I can see right now is a leotard and leg warmers. Poor Jane, who's done so much more than that. And for some reason, that's my reference. Sorry, Jane, but you're awesome. So, hey, all right, this is what she said, and then we'll close for today. That taught me that power has to come from inside. It has to come from knowing who you are, why you're on earth, what is the meaning of your life. That's power. So we're going to leave you with that thought from Jane, who rocks and kicks ass. And we thank you so much for being here on Friday afternoon. We can't wait to hear more from you. Again, share questions, thoughts, anything, but we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for sharing time with us. We're so grateful.
Thank you.